Last time we added these tuples to our store checkout program. We started out with lists and then we changed them to tuples because they're not really going to change during the execution. So let's rename this one. And we'll just put the word tuple in there instead of list. Okay. And then we actually do want to add a list this time, so I'm going to do a file, save as, and we'll change the name and include the word list there. Okay, and so we've updated the program. And so let's run this just for a second and see what it does. So it gives us our menu here, and we can put in a couple of choices. And then we put in 0, and that gives us our totals at the end. But let's say we want more of a receipt style, so we want to keep track of everything that we're doing. So a couple of ways to do that, but what we're going to do, since we're looking at lists, is create a list. And I'm just going to call it orders, and we're going to set it equal to an empty list. Okay. And so we've just set it up because we haven't ordered anything yet, so it's just going to be blank. And then after we do order, which would be just inside our loop, we are going to add to our list. So we're just going to say orders, and we're going to use the dot append, so we're going to add it to the end. Okay. And then the question is, what should we add? And since we just chose here the choice, and remember the choice is just the index of our tuples up here, I'm just going to save that because for a receipt we really want what? The name of the item we ordered and the price. But as long as we save the index, we can look up at the end what the name and the price are. So we're just going to save a list of the choices. So we'll just go ahead and say append choice to that list, and so that will keep a running, and it will get longer each time we go through the menu. And then we'll need a way at the end of this to say run through the list of those to print those out. So we can do this for I, and we'll do in range. And so this time we're going to look at orders, but we don't know how many indexes we're going to have. So we're going to use a function called len, which is short for length, and we're going to look at the length of orders. Okay, so essentially the length of the list. And so for each item that's in the list, we're just going to increment I by 1 and keep going through that. So the simplest thing we can do just to test this out is we'll do a print, and we'll just put something like item, and we'll put orders, and then we'll use the index I. Okay, in other words, we're going to look up out of the list what is the 0, which is the first order, and then so on down the line. So let's run that and see how that works. And so we'll just let's put in the first 2, so 1 and then 2, and then we'll put in 0. And notice it just says item 1 and 2, which is going to be the index of these up here. So we can refer to these tuples to print a little bit more detail. Instead of just item 1 and 2, we can go ahead and put the names. And now we're going to change this up just a little bit. Okay, so to simplify this a little bit, instead of going through a range numerically of indexes up to the length of orders, since orders is a list, we can actually just iterate through that list. So I'm going to get rid of range and I'm going to get rid of length, and we're just going to say for I in orders, or we could say item in orders. I'm just going to leave it as I. And right here we're just going to have I, so I is going to refer to the specific order. So we'll just leave I here, as it will iterate through orders, and I will represent the first order and the second order. So we'll run this and just make sure it's doing the same thing. So we'll put in the first two, 1, 2, and we'll exit. And so it's still saying item 1 and item 2. But since we're storing the index, we should be able to refer to our previous tuples. So I'm going to take this off the item, and I actually want to write out the menu item. So at this point, I will actually do menu items, and we'll reference the I, since we're saving that index in orders in our list. As we go through, I will print the name of that list, and then we should also be able to do the same thing with prices. And let's see if we get the same results there. So I'll just put in the same values, 1, 2. We'll check that, and so we do have the first two items, 1 and 2, and we've got the prices, but we're lacking the formatting. So let's go back up here and add similar formatting to our price here that we have down here. So we'll just add format, and we'll put in the format right here, and we'll just use the same one to kind of try to keep things lined up with the rest of our stuff. But let's try this first, and let's see what that does. So we'll put in 1 and 2 again, and we'll exit. And so yeah, it's kind of lining these up, but we also need to include some spaces here. So one way to do that is I'm just going to say left justify, and we'll put in the max here, or the width that we want it to be, and I'm going to say 13. Let's run that and see how that works out. Let's say 1 and 2 again. And so it's lining up a little bit better there, and it's lining up our prices. So we've got a list on the receipt. If we want the $sign in there, we can add that in. Just concatenate it on. Okay. So let's run that. And we'll do 1 and 3 this time. And so that's pretty close, but it looks like we're 1 space off. So we could space this out each. Let's run that again. So let's do 2 and let's say 5 this time, and we'll exit. And so now it looks like we have a list of everything we ordered. And just to show you, I think we've been doing 2, so let's actually do a couple of different things here, and we'll exit. And so we have a whole list down to the order total. We could also add in kind of a separator, so we could do another print here. And we'll just print out a dash times, let's say 21. See how close we are. So we'll run that. Put in 1, 2, 0, and so we're almost there. A couple short. 23, and we'll run this again. And 1, 2, 0, and then we have essentially our list here, and then the totals down at the bottom. Okay, so just a simple use of list to keep track of all the items ordered so we can print it on a receipt-like output.